Okay, good. We're going to have plenty of time with that. That's excellent. Oh, and then when you're talking, we'll be talking together. So you'll be talking to me.
Okay.
All right, I've got that on. Got this on. I always try to make sure I check all these things so I don't get halfway through the interview and think to myself, did I really turn it on? I've had that before. It's not fun. All right. You ready?
Yes.
All right, so we'll put a smile on here, get me organized. See price, style. Oh, and I like to take this out because I don't think that. I should take that out. Stylist, coach, and consultant. Okay. All right?
Yes.
Hey guys, we are here with Leslie C. Price, who is a stylist, coach, and consultant. And thank you, Leslie, for stopping by and having some time to talk with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. What I wanted to do is just ask you a few questions. I know that there's people maybe who've heard of you before, maybe some of them that have seen your blog, some people who have seen you speak, and I know you do a lot of coaching and consulting with folks. But maybe for somebody who hasn't seen you or know what you're all about, give people a quick overview as to who you are, what you're all about, your business, that kind of stuff. Just give them a quick overview if you don't mind.
Well, first, I am a hairstylist of 30 years.
Okay.
I am a coach and a consultant.
Okay.
I operate my own salon, and I have a coaching practice for stylists.
Okay, okay, good. So you work with stylists, you work with people who obviously are, you know, doing I know my wife, she gets into the chair, right? And she's doing all that stuff, and you're kind of the person getting behind that and helping them do a better job in growing their business.
Absolutely.
Awesome,
Absolutely.
awesome, awesome. What would be, maybe as a stylist, you know, you said you work with some of those stylists, what are some of the challenges that you help them like address? You know, I know for me, I see a lot of people, maybe they're not as experienced in growing their business. Talk to us a little bit about what you work with these people on.
Well, the first thing I always tell people, whether you are a client sitting in my chair or you are a client as a stylist and I'm your coach,
right? We
all have our own philosophies.
Okay.
And when you sit in my chair as a hair client, you're now buying into my philosophy.
Okay.
But as a coach working with stylists, what I feel is that the most important thing in the chair as a client or a stylist is relationship.
Okay.
That's one of my greatest philosophies. It's just building a relationship with your clients.
Right. Right. And I think, I know we were talking a little bit off camera before, part of the thing from a business standpoint is that stylists, they get people to come in, right? You might have, I don't know, 5, 10, 20 people a day come in, or a week, or whatever the case may be. But sometimes they're not as good as that retention piece either, right? They come in and then, you know, they're not staying in touch with their clients as much as maybe they should. I understand you have a real high retention rate.
I have a very high retention rate, and one thing, I guess I am now old school.
Yeah.
I've crossed over.
Okay, you're officially old school.
Right.
Okay.
However, the reason I've retained my clients is because I am in relationship with them.
Right.
My clientele is now, as well as myself, we are shifting into a different season in our life.
Okay.
Because I've built a relationship with the ladies in my chair.
Right.
I know that they're in a different season as well as I'm in a different season.
Right.
So the needs that they have now, I know how to adjust and critique everything according to their needs.
Right.
So it's not just in and out of the salon.
Right.
I know not personal business, but but I know what's required to maintain proper hair care for them.
Right.
And so relationship is huge, and because I interact with my clients in that way, I'm able to maintain just good client retention. Clients, I have people that have been coming to me for over 10 years. Okay. And they're locked in on a schedule.
Right, right.
And they rotate every week or every 2 weeks.
Right.
So.
And not to put you on the spot, but what would you say is, why do you think you're able to do that better than maybe some of the other stylists out there? Just if you were to guess.
I think for one thing, Brian, I don't chase money.
Right.
Money chase me.
Right.
I'm not in this business for money.
Right, right.
I'm in it for the love of what I do,
right.
and the reward is the money that I get.
Right.
So clients can see that.
Okay.
They can trust and believe the integrity that I have
right.
as a stylist.
You know, that's interesting, integrity, because that comes up a lot, you know what I mean, in any business,
yes.
you know, whether it's as a stylist or, you know, I know you do some life coaching as well with people, right? in any business, integrity is a big thing because people need to trust you.
Yes.
And people need to be able to understand that you're coming with their best interest in mind.
Correct. I have a program that I'm working on, and it deals with your vision statement, your mission statement, but most important, as far as I'm concerned, is your value statement.
Okay.
And in that value statement, you find out a lot of who you are.
Right.
Because there'll be times when that has to show up
Right.
when you're working with people.
Right.
You know, vision and mission are powerful.
Right.
However, that core
Right.
is that value.
Right.
And people can tell.
You know, it's funny because a lot of times, you know, and one of the questions I want to ask you is if you're a new stylist, you know, what are some of the challenges you would tell them? And we'll get into that in a second. But, you know, I know from my own experience as a business owner, you know, you've got all these different things going on, and boy, it is an up and down type of deal. And if you let the environment get in your way and kind of buffet you around, that's a rocky course.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So what would you say, you know, for maybe some new stylists who are listening or watching, what would you say, you know, you've been doing this for 30 years or whatever,
Right.
you know, what would you give them as a tip or as a piece of advice? Obviously, we have some experienced folks, some new folks. What would you give them the tip for some of the new folks, you know, just as something to kind of move forward?
Well, the word that keeps coming to mind all this week, I've been hearing flexible.
Okay.
To be flexible.
Okay.
And because I am old school,
Right.
I'm having to be flexible. I am in an age where we're dealing with a lot of technology.
Yep.
I still like to work out of my appointment book.
Right.
However, I've got to bend a little bit
Right.
towards what's happening here.
Right.
And as a new stylist, you have all of these components, things that I paid for, you can do for free.
Right.
However, bend back and pick up some of those old school values.
Right.
Pick up some of that good client care.
Right.
You know, there are things that are out there that are just staples for where you're going to be.
Right.
We're moving so fast. However, sometimes we need to slow down and give a good touch.
Right.
You know, we need to give some assurance to people that I'm here. I'm totally present.
Right.
I'm totally aware of what your needs are.
Right.
And I'm just not rushing you through the chair.
You know, great point, because I think a lot of, I talked about, I guess, the new clientele or new stylists, you know, probably younger,
Yeah.
right? And, you know, there's a whole, generation of people who are just kind of,
Right.
you know, and I guess that's a great tip. One of your tips is saying, well, stop running, not that they are, but slow down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Let's both be flexible.
Yeah.
I'm bending forward, you got to bend back.
Yeah.
And find out how can I maintain my clientele in a fast-moving world.
Right.
You know?
Right. And, you know, one of the things, and I'd be interested to hear your perspective on this, you know, I always think that there's so many things going on. There's texts, and we talked about this before we got on. There's texts, there's email, there's, you know, whatever, all this technology that's going on. And what happens, I think, though, is in a world where we have become, where there's more places and more ways to engage, I think we've become less connected. That's my personal opinion. Okay?
Right.
And I'd be interested to hear if, when you're talking about philosophically relationships, old school, it sounds to me that part of what you're teaching these folks is being able to connect with them, be present while people are in your chair.
Absolutely.
Am I hearing you correctly?
Correctly, yes. You know, I have wireless internet.
Fine.
I had to have that.
That's fine.
So my clients are working.
Right.
But at some point I'll have to say, can you turn that phone off for a second?
Right.
So you can be present.
Right.
And we can engage in what's going on, because whether you know it or not, we all need moments.
Right.
To breathe.
Right.
Moments to just relax.
Right.
Let me suggest that you go up under the dryer and just relax for
Right.
a moment. Take
Right.
time.
Right.
Look at this magazine that you haven't had an opportunity, you know. So let's create moments where we can slow down and enjoy it. And the salon plays a part in that.
You know, and a great point, Leslie, because that might even be something that you would probably teach some of your more experienced clients, right? Because you've got people who come in all the time, coaching, working with you. One of the points I think I just heard was, and this is my terminology, but it's almost like using your salon, creating an oasis.
Absolutely, and
right?
It is. You need that moment, because once you're out the door, you're
Yeah,
gone.
yeah.
And sometimes this is where you can laugh, you can have friends. Even though I'm laughing and I'm having a great time, I know what Mrs. Jones needs.
Right.
That's the relationship part.
Right.
Because we all seem so busy.
Right.
My clients are moving, things are going on.
Right.
I still have one eye that's kind of focused on them, and
Right.
they feel as if I'm giving them my full attention. As busy as I am,
Right.
I know what's going on.
Right.
And because we've built that relationship, she can trust that I'm taking care of her. This is one less area in her life that
Right.
she has to be concerned about.
That's exactly
You
right.
don't have to keep up with your dates.
Right.
That's my responsibility.
That's right.
Your services, that's my responsibility.
That's right.
So all of that plays a part in relationship.
That
That's
is
huge for me.
That's interesting. Howard Schultz is the guy who founded Starbucks Coffee. His name's Howard Schultz. And one of the points that he made before Starbucks became Starbucks
Yes.
was the book was Pour Your Heart Into It, and
Okay.
I think that's what it was. And he talks about the idea of his vision was having a place where people could connect, a place where there would be a sense of community, a place where there was an oasis, again using my terminology, and obviously that worked, you know what I mean? And to a lot of ways you can say that obviously you can get a cup of coffee for less than $5, but people, you know, someone's buying it right now.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I think I'm hearing you say you're taking that kind of relational approach and putting it into your salon, and you're coaching people, you're coaching folks, maybe even someone who's listening here is thinking about working with you, on how they can systematize that and integrate that on an intentional way into their business, I think is what I'm hearing you say.
That's great. Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel that when I was a young stylist, I worked in
Younger.
younger stylist.
Right,
Yeah.
right. That's important. That's an important distinction.
When I worked in Chicago,
Right.
downtown, very busy.
Downtown,
very
anything,
busy.
yeah.
So, and the clientele were radio, television personalities.
Fine.
So we really moved at a fast pace.
Right, I understand.
But what I believed from that experience through this journey is, I believe that you need to find out who you are and where your base is. What's your clientele? What's your niche?
Right.
You know, find out, because once you come out of school, you've been presented with a buffet
Right.
of different skill sets.
Right.
But I believe you need to come in and figure out what's your market,
Right.
your niche of people,
Right.
your age group.
Right.
And that's what I did for me.
Right.
You know, I know the ladies that I am going, you know, to search out for my business.
And that you attract.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. So those are things that we'll talk about, because there's a generation that's coming up, and for the clientele that they select, it's not necessarily what I want.
Right.
However, master that clientele.
Right.
You know, give them still
Right.
your best, your professional service that you can.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, this is good stuff. Tell us a little bit about, you know, you talked a little bit about your philosophy.
Yes.
It sounds like it is, I mean, I'm just going. It sounds like it's relationally based. It sounds like we talked about the term oasis, where you're doing it. It's definitely staying connected with these folks. You know, those are all things that it sounds like you're teaching when you work with prospective clients, and you're showing them how they can do that?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Tell us a little bit about where they can connect with you. Like, is there a website, maybe some websites? I don't know.
You can find me at www.lesliecprice.com.
Okay,
Or you can go to yoursaloncoach.com.
okay.
You can call me, 919-673-8594.
Good, good.
And my salon number,
Awesome.
919-954-1119.
Awesome, awesome. So they have different ways to be able to get in touch. I know that you work with, like we said, you do some life coaching, you do some work with salon, obviously stylists, you work with people who are new to the business, you know, people who are maybe experienced and trying to get to that next level. So you've got a host of different ways that you can work with folks, and I really appreciate it. I know that they do too. I really appreciate you being able to stop by and be able to share a little bit of that with us.
Thank you so much.
Awesome,
Brian.
awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See that? That didn't hurt a bit, did it? That was fun almost.
Was I speaking clearly?
You were fine.
I knew I found myself stumbling.
No.